Welcome once again to Talk Formula One. And before I call on my colleague OBJ, my apologies for being away for quite a while. There was family bereavement. And at this point in time, I would like to say, may the soul of Nahum Belai rest in peace. OBJ.
Nice
to be back with you, mate.
Well, I have to say I've made all sorts of excuses from you, from scuba diving to bungee jumping to gallivanting in the Seychelles.
If only.
And yeah, glad to have you back. Well, just to apologize on his behalf, and what we didn't want to do is not to have any kind of a broadcast whilst our good old friend Dele was away. Well, clearly not having a great time, but shedding a whole lot of tears. So I did send some handkerchief. I hope you put them into good use. And may his soul rest in peace.
Amen. Before we get into it, I'd like to give our best to the Italians and, my heartfelt sympathies with them on the washout in Italy, which led to, Imola not holding. Very best to them. But without much further ado, let's jump into Monaco. What a race weekend it was.
Yeah, I think before we go into Monaco, any memories from Monaco? Advice to people that intend to go to Monaco for an F1, day out?
Well, the weather may be unpredictable. But no, Monaco was a fantastic race weekend, in my opinion. For a long time, it was a race weekend without a safety car. Can you believe that? Monaco, of all places.
Unbelievable. I found that totally incredible as well. And Monaco, you expect it to be a procession, but, clearly not.
No. And then, as if it wasn't bad enough, the rain came in and, overspiced things up. Fantastic this weekend, I would say.
It was brilliant. So straight back into quali. Sorry for the diversion. I just thought we'd do a bit of reflection, but there you go.
Qualis was also very, very interesting. Starting with Perez, totaling his car.
And Lewis.
Lewis, strangely enough, seemed to have left things for last minute. At the end of Quali 1 and Quali 2, he practically had me sitting on the edge of my seat. But, he delivered when it mattered most, which, was impressive to say the least. But, as much as I know you are a Mercedes fan.
And a Lewis fan.
I will have to say.
And of course, my background. So we have to apologize for that, Mercedes. Sorry, but there you go.
As much as I know, I do not know where Max pulled off what he pulled off to rob Alonso pole.
Listen, especially at Monaco. You are centimeters, millimeters from the barriers to get anything decent out of any car at Monaco. How Max could do that, I'm beginning to respect the guy.
I think I've said this here before. Max is very rapidly beginning to earn my respect.
Here.
Max was, after Sector 1 and Sector 2, Max was down on pole.
It was unbelievable.
How he pulled back in Sector 3. I was
Sector 3, the last sector. Imagine.
I was beginning to think that Alonso had pole, but hey,
imagine how good Sector 3 was. It made up for all the losses in Sectors 1 and 2.
Yes, no. hats off to Max there.
Oh, it was
He
amazing.
pulled that one out of the bag. Ridiculous, but yeah, you give dues where it's where
When,
it.
when, when,
Yeah.
when it's due and when it's deserved, I think we share the same passion here. I am certainly not part of the Orange Army, and I don't see myself ever becoming part of the Orange Army. And I do sometimes have, a very strong reservation about Max's, general behavior on track and off track, dating people's wives and all. Not that I said that. Yeah, but you know what? It was simply amazing, is all I can say. Over to you, David.
Yeah, well, just wrapping up qualies. It was a shame about Ferrari. They seem to be still in disarray because, unfortunately for Leclerc, he had to take that three-spot penalty grid because
He did, yeah.
obviously his team didn't inform him, that there was a car coming, and he practically held it up. So, it was a shame that he had to lose a few spots on the grid, but and particularly with it being his home
Well, absolutely.
race.
His
But
own
yeah,
race. Yeah.
but all round, I think what was good to see was that Mercedes seemed to have found a bit more pace compared with what they've done in the past. However,
Yeah. Well, I'll reserve my comment. They found a bit more pace. With the side pod now breathing, the car seems to be breathing a lot better. So it's either Alpine has gotten a lot better than Mercedes, or anyway, I'll reserve my comment. Carry on, Dilly.
yeah, well, it was good to see that quite a number of people could have had pole because Leclerc at one time was provisional pole.
It was open, yeah.
Alonso
Totally
was provisional pole. Ocon was on pole at one point in time too. So unfortunately, I don't think any of the Mercs were on pole at any point in time. So
not for a second,
maybe I can understand your frustration there. But all in all, they were in the mix.
Especially with the much hyped upgrades.
Yeah, well, it's the first time they're using a completely like from their perspective, a beta car, because it's had a whole change of design. So, I give your boys some time.
Yeah, well, you know
I mean,
what?
interestingly now, as it stands, Mercedes are just 1 point behind Aston Martin in constructors. So,
and are a few points behind being second place. Anyway, jumping straight into the race. What's your take? I mean, the only thing I would say, hands up, Alpine, for me, stole the show. Who would think last year that we would be having this discussion that would have an Alpine car on the podium? And the Mercedes, both cars were ahead of both Mercedes.
Well, how would I put this?
An Alpine, Dilly, an Alpine.
Yeah, well, you need to remember that Alpine is actually the Renault team, and
indeed,
Williams won a few championships with Renault
in their days. Yeah.
The Benetton team was practically a Renault-powered team,
and it was Renault-powered. Yeah.
Yeah, they won a few championships themselves. So they've got pedigree. Sometimes, design change and so throw some teams out. But I wouldn't say, they don't have the pedigree to be winners. So
the pedigree is there. But like I said, if you were to look at last year and the year before, I guess my message is this. We're now thinking about the top contenders in this season, you now have to start thinking about what used to be Renault, now Alpine, which was not the case last year. So it's a massive improvement, I guess is what I'm saying. It's a massive that the Mercedes now have to think about beating an Alpine as
Now,
well as the Red Bulls
if this
and the Ferraris.
if this is any encouragement for you, it might only get worse. So
Get worse for Mercedes or get worse for
yeah,
Alpine?
get worse for Mercedes.
That's exactly what I mean. Now they're not only battling the Ferraris, the Red Bulls, the Aston Martins. Now an Alpine. There are four constructors now that the Mercedes, at least we know one of them is running a Mercedes engine. So it tells us that there are very serious aerodynamic issues with even the W14s.
Well,
Sorry.
let me add to your misery. The McLaren seem to be coming back into form because they finished 9th and 10th in the points yesterday. So, hey, I hate to have to, add to your sleepless nights, but Mercedes need to do something. But spare a thought for the Ferrari fans because I'd like to point out that I think the Ferraris are also grossly underperforming, and I wouldn't put it down to the drivers. I think for some reason or the other, Ferrari just don't seem to be on top of their strategies. They seem to be getting it wrong. But hey,
but
what do I know?
I think I disagree with you. And that leads us to an interesting topic, which is not necessarily about the race. And this is about Lewis jumping ship and driving a Ferrari. So you did say you don't put it down to the drivers. So in effect, you're saying you are thinking about selling your Ferrari because you said that last season. You didn't quite do it. Now you're toying with the idea you're clearly mocking the car. So I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure it's the car. I'm beginning to think that it's the drivers. Personally, I believe that car is a championship winning car with the right person behind the wheels. That's my take.
Yeah, but then it's not just about car and driver. Strategies also play.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
And I think that is what is lacking with Ferrari right now. Think they're getting their calls right. But hey, what do I know?
I hear you, Delay. I mean, somebody lost his nose during yesterday's race. And
a few of them lost their noses.
Well, the first,
specific. I know you are talking about signs, but hey.
Okay, Carlos lost his nose with a Mercedes W14 engine behind him. Without a nose, it means it loses downforce on one side. It loses a lot of aerodynamics. It effectively unbalances the car. So straight line speed is compromised. Cornering ability is compromised.
I don't think straight line speed is that much compromised. I think it's...
Yes, it is. No. Your straight line speed will be compromised because if you don't have your air dam, what's going to happen is that there's going to be lift on that front axis. So if you're not careful, if you blitz it, you're going to basically, the overall equilibrium of the car has been compromised. So that car finished the race with that nose, more or less. It kept the Mercedes behind it with a damaged front nose, meaning it had no aerodynamic advantage on the left side. In fact, it had an aerodynamic disadvantage on the leading front edge of the car. And it still kept the Mercedes behind. And in fact, at some stage, it increased the distance between him and the Mercedes. So going back to the car not being quite good, if you have an aerodynamic upset in a car like that, even a damage to the the floorboard, the flooring of the car. If you remember a few races back when Max, I think it was last year when Max had that problem, it totally took away Max's race. So if that Ferrari could deliver that level of performance with a defective aero, what does it tell you if it has the arrows working as they should? I guess that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I think that point is slightly neutralized because Monaco is the kind of race that you can get away with.
True. Very true. Very true.
And the point I was trying to make earlier on is that, you know, the in terms of the straight line speed, it's not greatly affected.
Yeah, because you're not max, you can't
because
max out
you're not, you know, going full out. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe on a quicker track, yes, but hey.
Yeah. Well, I guess what you're saying is that it has an effect, but not such a big effect on the speed.
This is my point. But hey, let's move on. I was going to compliment Max.
An amazing win.
Brilliant drive because Max was under pressure most of that race.
And in the rain.
Having the old wily fox Alonso start behind him on hard tires. Max has had to manage his mediums to be able to counter whatever Alonso was doing on the hards. Now, a lot of people may not take this into consideration, but that is one of the hardest tasks you can find yourself doing.
Absolutely.
Having to manage those tires for as long as you needed.
And you're absolutely correct. And again, on the point you've just made on tires. Now, Lewis was on mediums. Carlos was on hard in a Ferrari, the slower hard in a Ferrari. We are in Monaco where we cannot max out as far as straight line speed is concerned. So following a car should not be an issue because of the dirty air and all of that. What happened with the Mercedes? That they were both on mediums, the quicker mediums. I mean, Monaco, we saw some overtakes in Monaco. We did. And so we have to start rethinking Monaco being a procession where you cannot overtake. People were overtaking in Monaco. What happened to the Mercedes? They were both on mediums, the quicker mediums. The cars in front of them were both wearing the slower, hard tires. Yet nothing happened.
Well, I guess
I'm a fan of Mercedes, as you know that. So.
No, I guess where you may be missing a slight ingredient here is there were overtakes, but if you looked at the cars that were pulling off overtakes, they are overtaking cars that they were slightly quicker than.
It doesn't matter.
The Mercs didn't have a pace advantage over any of the cars ahead of them.
Well, no. The few overtakes we saw at Monaco yesterday, they were daring overtakes. And when I say daring, what I meant was that it wasn't an overtake because of a straight line speed advantage. It was overtake because who would blink first? They both approached the corner, and it was the cars that did the overtake only applied their brakes later than the people they overtook, and they were able to still swing the car into the bend and do it. So it wasn't down to speed, it was down to the width of the car, the drivers, the risk the driver was able to take given the car underneath him. And I take this car into that corner with this speed, brake just a second later than the other guy, be able to slow the car down, not go off track, exceed track limit, take the corner. They did it. I've always respected the Red Bull cars for one. If you look at a lot of Max's aggressive overtakes, it dives into the inside, okay, where nobody's expecting him. He slows that car down fast and aggressively enough to still take the corner, and he pulls it off. Anyway, enough of that. We've not got too long. I think we didn't really want this to
To go on
be.
too long. Yeah, no, we
Yeah.
didn't. We didn't. Well, like everybody knows, the rain came and mixed it up, and mixed it up it did because everybody was guessing. Do we go for full wets? Do we go for intermediates? And some people were saying, well, the rain will come and go, so they've opted to stay out on slicks, and it was pretty interesting to say the least. Pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
And I thought at that point in time, I thought we were going to see the brilliance of Lewis Hamilton, the Rain Man, but it didn't happen.
Oh well, every dog has its day.
For a second, I thought you were going to say every dog's got a tail. I was to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I guess what I will say on closing about yesterday's race was the fact that it was Monaco, and even in the wet, the drivers have done a fantastic job. Bearing in mind, like I said at the beginning, there was no safety car.
Nothing.
And
Unbelievable.
most of them managed to finish the race, even with a wet race. Monaco is very unforgiving.
Did you even get it?
Yes, we know how many times people end up in the barriers, even a full dry race. So, I guess on a closing note, I'm going to say, well done and hats off to all 20 drivers in yesterday's race for, managing to get to the end of the race, except Stroll, who had to retire the car. It's quite an achievement, to say the least. Quite an achievement. And yes, Monaco was a very exciting race. Well done, guys. I don't know. It would seem like the FIA are getting it right eventually. But I hope I'm not speaking too soon.
Possibly not.
Any closing thoughts, OBJ?
I think for me, I'm going to vote my driver of the day, both football quali and the race. And hats off to Max Verstappen. Well done.
I never thought I'd ever hear you say that, OBJ.
Well, you know what? You can't teach an old dog a new trick, as they say.
Right. Well then, folks, you heard it from OBJ. Max is now his new favorite driver.
Well, I won't go that far. I would say he's beginning to earn my respect, yeah, as an F1 racer. But I still don't think he should. He should. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that. There you go.
Well, we agree on something for once, folks.
Indeed.
You heard it from Talk Formula One. Max has earned both our respects. And on that note, I'd like to say it's been nice having you here. See you in Spain next week. From OBJ.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of the day. See you in Spain.